Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Game Chat. Thank you for sticking with us. Today officially marks our 10th episode. Thank you to the listeners who have been sticking with us.
Wow.
Shout
10.
out. Yeah.
Shout
number
out
10.
Germany, always.
Shout out. Today I have my co-host with me as always. Let's go down line. Elite, say what's up to the folks.
Hey, what up, everyone? Shout out to Germany, as always.
Anthony?
Hello. Shout to Ukraine. Big win today for Ukraine that they were recording this. Uzbek beats Joshua, London.
Shout out Ukraine.
Shout
Okay,
out Ukraine.
boys. So I've been following some gaming news, and I saw that the new sort of Arkham series, new Batman series game had gotten delayed. And this game was going to be the first game that did not feature Batman. It was going to be a multiplayer co-op that had Robin, Batgirl, Red Hood, and Nightwing. And, for these past couple of years, we've gotten a lot of Batman games from Rocksteady. And I'm not complaining. They've been really solid games, really good games from Asylum to Arkham Knight. And I'm just thinking, while we wait for this game, like it's been a long time since we got an independent superhero video game, because we've got the Injustice fighting games in the past and the Mortal Kombat versus DCU. Great game.
You could argue Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, of course. Yeah, that's
Hey,
right.
But Spider-Man gets a game every year, though.
But the problem with Spider-Man is it's been exclusive on PlayStation, so the Xbox world doesn't know that game.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah. So, I'm thinking, boys, if they were to make a superhero game, what game or what superhero would you want it to be?
Well,
that's a good one.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Go for it. I still got to think of that.
I think the superhero would be the easiest game to do would probably be the Green Lantern. The Green Lantern, I think, would be the easiest game because you could do anything you wanted with the ring. But just think about the universe. You could have the purple lanterns, the yellow lanterns, the red lanterns. It could be infinite. It's a very large, underrepresented concept that's really never been represented in media other than Ryan Reynolds' movie. I think that'd be probably the easiest likely one. I know that when we were in pre-production, we kind of talked about The Flash. The Flash could be an interesting one. Those are Wonder Woman. I don't think's ever had a game represented for her.
She has?
I mean, no, I'm saying, I agree with you. But also, too, I forgot to mention that there has been an announcement that they are going to make a Wolverine game, a PlayStation exclusive Wolverine game, if you guys seen the trailers. And one of the people who work there, one of the creative directors, said that this Wolverine game is going to have a mature tone to it. So I wonder if we're going to get maybe no blood or maybe a Logan type thing where it will be for mature audiences, which I hope so. I mean, if people who have PlayStation who play Ghost of Tsushima, blood's everything, the slashing.
Right.
So hopefully they'll borrow some Tsushima people with that. But I think
he's always been underrepresented. But then again, I've also said that about the X-Men in general. I think they've been underrepresented. They did have one really cool game back in the 80s that was more of a standalone arcade game that they tried to put on. I think it was on the Super Nintendo, if I remember right. They tried it. And then there was one on the GameCube. I remember there was one on the GameCube,
I
too.
picked the GameCube one. It's X-Men Legends. I love that game. I would buy a $120 version of it.
We actually have it on the GameCube. I think they could really do a nice relaunch of, if they start with Logan, that'd be great, and then maybe introduce a couple of the other key X-Men. I've always thought the guy that would be kind of cool would be Nightcrawler. That'd be a cool one.
I would buy a Magneto game.
Yeah, Magneto's. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
another
cool
thing too is that because before they announced it was Logan, a lot of people thought for a long time that it was going to be a Daredevil video game, and I also
that'd be
think
kind
that
of
he should
cool.
get his own game too.
I think though with the Daredevil though, I think you're relying too much on the sense
blind,
that he has.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's that blind sense of kind of getting around of like just could you just picture in a game like constantly having to hit the A button and send out your sensor?
The whole game just be black. I think multiplayer, black screen and everything. Is that can I say that? Is that?
No, I feel like maybe they could get into some elements where he is blind, but I could see maybe an open world third person Daredevil video game, because I don't know if you boys have ever played. You guys remember it was a Marvel game? It was called like Rise of the Imperfects. Did you guys ever play that?
Oh my god, yes.
I don't remember that game.
Yeah, it was like
I love that game.
it was like
it was Imperfects versus Avengers.
it was like its own standalone game, and it had like the Thing. It had Spider-Man, it had Daredevil, and it was its own story thing.
It had Wolverine, Iron Man.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Like,
I remember that.
Yeah, and like it's Wolverine
Venom was there too.
Spider-Man, Venom. Like you could climb on walls, which is pretty cool. It was very comic book accurate, very dark tone, because like
very dark.
Because at that time was still wishy-washy. Like Marvel could still do dark stuff. But another game too is, remember like the soup. I don't know what it's called, but like I call it like God point of view, where like you're looking straight down at the character. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
and
I call that
And then because back then there was, remember, did you guys ever play like a Marvel Ultimate Alliance game?
Yeah, like that.
No,
Like,
I didn't play that one.
And there's like another one. We were talking about this in pre-production. The DC one. DC had its own version.
Well, they did a
DC?
a couple. They've done a couple DC ones, and the game I thought was really cool was. Do you remember when Marvel did Marvel versus Capcom? Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that game?
The arcade ones were
And
the arcade ones were better than the.
I was kind of always waiting to see. Ideally, what's the argument everybody makes? Marvel versus DC, right?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they just do a game like a Mortal Kombat game where you had Marvel versus DC characters?
Have you ever played?
Wouldn't that be a great idea?
MK versus DC Universe. I would play that game, but the only person that would have the power to do that is Lego, because they've made both games, DC and Marvel.
Yeah, and it's like I'm sure that but then again, that's a whole nother conversation. And when you talk about like superhero games, I feel like Lego's been carrying the flag for superheroes. I mean, for how long? Like Batman games
Yeah,
it was. You play them, and they're not as good as you realize.
They're still good games. Like it's funny is I think that's like an introduction. Like I know at least in our house, those Lego games were like an introduction for my son to video games. That's the first video games he played was, the Batman Lego game or
the Lego Batman was good. And I love and the Lego Batman 2 hit it out of the park because it was open world.
Yeah, and it was super awesome. And then you had like pretty much every villain he ever fought was in there. Like literally, it was pretty cool. Now, granted, I could get over the whole little brick thing and like busting stuff up to get bricks and rebuilding. That was kind of crazy. But I mean, it was a decent game. I think though you have to realize, I think in the video game world, I wonder how much a want is out there for that, is for video games with superheroes, because I constantly look at it in the video game world and I'm like, they don't make video games necessarily for me, because a lot of the games I would like to see, they don't seem to come out. And it seems like they reproduce the same stuff over and over and over again. Look at the problems Madden had this year. They had to get to a point where they're giving refunds out on Madden because they basically just wash and repeat the same stuff. So, I don't know.
Okay, so I found, I'll show you a screen. It was called, Justice League Heroes.
Oh
Justice
my
League
God.
Heroes.
I
do remember that now.
Yeah, because of the cover.
Holy shit. The fastest man alive. Flash.
Yeah, and then what I liked about that
yeah.
game too is like because you had Superman, like each it was Superman, Batman,
game,
and then like Flash, Green Arrow, and then Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and then Wonder Woman and whoever else. But like you got like in that game you had a chance to like play as each big Justice League member, and there was chemistry. And I think if I recall that there was skins, so like I think it was like
Oh, dude.
John Jones Green
So
Lantern, and then you could have Hal Jordan Green Lantern wherever.
So
else.
I'm looking at their Wikipedia for that. So the playable characters were Aquaman, Batman, Black Canary, The Flash, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, all 4 Green Lanterns.
Green Arrow.
You could have been Hal Jordan, John Stewart,
What was that
Kylo
game
Rayner,
called again?
Justice League Heroes.
Hawkgirl, Huntress, Martian Manhunter, Supergirl, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Zatara. And the villains were phenomenal too. They had like another 20 villains you could have played at.
Yeah, I remember like the biggest and the hardest one was the first one. It was Brainiac.
Each of the 7 characters that had at least 2 alternate skins. Mm-hmm. So everybody that's I mean, shoot, they had Yeah, you're absolutely right. They had Brainiac. They had Darkseid, Doomsday, Gorilla Grodd. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I might have to look for that game.
I remember playing that on the original Xbox, and then I played that on the original Xbox on my
played it on
cousin's
my
house.
DS.
And then
it was released originally on the DS, and then the Xbox and PlayStation 2.
You know what game I've always wanted to see DC make? Constantine.
Yeah,
that'd be a great game. Yeah. That would be a great game.
It'd be a horror game. That'd be a horror game for sure.
And that would be a great game.
Underrated, because I don't think like you got a person no one really knows, and his powers are awesome. You can make that a horror game if you wanted to. It'd be a smash hit.
Yeah, because you brought that up because that's part of like the DC's dark arts people, and like because they're making dark tone like magic and stuff like that. Because they're making that right now for Marvel, but it's a turn-based game, and I'm like, personally, I'm not a fan of turn-based games. Especially when you have some of the most bad characters. It's like I really don't want like, only did 9 damage, and then now this person.
It's those. Like,
it's turn-based.
And like an RPG game.
Like those.
Yeah, it's RPG turn-based. And I would want that with Constantine and like Zatanna, because Zatanna, another DC hero, so underrated.
Yes.
Who like.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, and maybe Shazam could get in real quick. I don't know if he'd qualify for that, but he is kind of magic. But and that's another game too, Shazam.
Because Shazam, first of all, Shazam needs to get his name right.
Yeah, Captain Marvel, Shazam, whatever.
It's like, what are you?
I think he's. I think he's just Shazam. Shazam. What the hell? Shazam.
Shazam.
I think they took out Captain Marvel. They gave that to Marvel.
Well, it's Captain Marvel. No, Captain Marvel is totally. Well, Captain Marvel. Marvel
Shazam.
is Shazam, because the Marvel is an acronym of the 5 people that he's got the powers from. That's why it's called Marvel. Mars, I forget the gods.
Yeah,
and so that's why he's got all these names is Captain Marvel, but the Captain Marvel, the girl one, is from Marvel Comics. So it's kind of weird, and then that's where Marvel messed up anyway, because they called her Captain Marvel. And then there's also Marvel Girl in the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel. She used to be called Marvel Girl in the 60s, and now she's Miss Marvel because it's politically correct. But she was Marvel Girl. And it was kind of, it's like that was just kind of like you couldn't really think of a name for him. Better than the name of your comic book.
Right.
It's kind of goofy. But I agree with you on Constance. I think that would be amazing. And that also brings me up to another one that I think could have a really cool game. Would be Spawn.
Spawn?
Are you familiar with the Spawn comic book?
I'm not. Can you educate me in the audience?
So Spawn basically was a cop. He was a cop who got killed, and he went to hell, and he wanted to do whatever he could to get back to his family. So he basically became the spawn of the devil. He's traded his soul to the devil to come back as a spawn. And then he comes back, and he's supposed to be like bad, but what he's doing is he ends up still being like fighting and protecting for good, but he's basically a spawn demon. And it's a really great comic. It was made into a couple TV shows. It's Todd McFarlane. I'm sure you're familiar with Todd McFarlane from Spider-Man fame and Batman fame. When he spun off and started his own company, that was his first comic book, was Spawn. And I think that'd be a really cool one, but again, it would be a very dark one.
Yeah, he uses guns and chains.
Yeah.
You have a good weapon selector. Yeah, I think it'd be a good one.
Yeah,
another one, Punisher would be a good one.
Punisher.
be dark.
Yeah.
But
There was one for like PS2, PS1, I think.
Make a Defenders.
you know.
Defenders game and just include Punisher in there.
I love the open world games. And then, well, I was thinking because we were talking about the Flash. I want a Flash open world game where he runs on top. He like can run on water. Run on top of buildings. Like it's like, I mean, like the
Basically,
possibilities
Superman
are.
returns the
Yeah,
game.
I mean, possibilities are endless for him. Another thing too, because I was thinking about replaying this game, Mad Max. Is maybe you could do a Ghost Rider video game where you could do like maybe some part desert and some part city. Because remember in the movies he would drive up the building.
That'd be a good video game too. That'd be dark, but
Yeah,
I mean that'd be a good one. Another one I think they should redo is I think he had a comic book or maybe it was to do with a video game, but I think they should remake Max Payne.
Yes,
Oh,
Max
wow.
Payne, especially number.
I've never played Max Payne.
Such a good game.
Very Punisher theme. Seemed like the Punisher, and I think that'd be a really cool one. There's, another great one would be Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing.
That would be kind of cool. I mean, you could take place in a swamp, open world in a swamp. It's
speaking of monsters, big guy who I think it was called like the Incredible Hulk or like Destructible Hulk or whatever. I had this on GameCube. Hulk. Basically, we need another Hulk game.
Oh yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I had that one. Hold on, let me look it up.
It was
and another thing too. Do you guys remember? Did you guys ever play Ultimate Spider-Man?
I did.
Yes,
that was such a good game. And then you could switch as Venom.
And then there's a movie that we've been teased with that I think is coming out. And what do they call it? The Legion of Doom?
Yes, that one.
Is it called the Legion of Doom?
Yeah, Legion of Doom.
They should come out with that with a video game.
Maybe they could make a Justice League versus Legion of Doom.
Yes.
Or maybe you could switch. Okay, so these missions are Justice League, these missions are Legion of Doom.
Right.
And because also we need more Avengers video games. Because like I want open world Avengers video games. And
but
the reason I feel like the last Avengers game failed because you're basically doing the same thing over and over again.
And it's like, and then what they do is like, I think it came down to like me and Josh were the only two people I know playing that game. And it was basically like, okay, I'm doing the same mission, but now I get to do it as, Black Panther.
Black Panther.
But
and how many times is Abomination going to live?
It's
you defeat him the next time.
And it's so weird. It's like it kind of got to be old, so I finally just put that one to bed. I finally just uninstalled that game.
I'm crying.
And it was like, but I played that thing forever. But speaking of that, I mean, literally, everybody in that game is big enough they could have their own standalone game. Thor could have his own game. Black Panther could have his own game. Literally, everybody in that game should have their own game. Don't you think? Maybe.
No, yeah.
Maybe not Black Widow.
You could argue that.
Not Black Widow.
No, yeah. I was gonna say, you could argue that, but you know what? You could also argue is going off topic here. Totally. Look at Dead by Daylight. All those characters in there could have their own standalone game. Give me like Michael Myers. Like I would love to have played Michael Myers or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Like a Halloween game or a Nightmare on Elm Street game.
Yeah,
I think they
like
tried.
you have a bunch of
I
characters.
think they tried that. I know they did Friday the 13th had its own game. Not the one that's on Xbox now and PlayStation now, but back in the day they did one on Nintendo with the purple Michael Myers.
Purple.
I think they did a Nightmare on Elm Street 2 one, if I'm not mistaken.
I know they did a bootleg Saw game because there's what do you call those? Brunner? They come from movies and they make it into a game. Movie license games. Yeah. There you go. So like I saw a guy speedrun the Saw game in like 3 hours or 2, maybe even 2. But like you could argue you could make let's see what's a character in Dead by Daylight in there. And I would love to see.
It's just so many games. And again, I don't know where they get the ideas because I think the video games are like super weird. Other than your annual games, what I mean by that is like NBA 2K, Madden, NHL, FIFA. Really, how many games come out a year? 10?
I'm sure there's more, like hundreds.
Yeah.
Do you think there's really hundreds that come out a year?
Oh yeah, you got
I mean,
indie
like you could
games.
count like indie games. You could count
I
Yeah,
mean,
PC
triple A,
games.
games, indie games,
Yeah, like if you go
studio
to
exclusives.
Game Pass, you're gonna see games that you never even saw
yeah, I know, but it's like,
that come out.
but you
this
think
year.
about like a game, and I always kind of wonder who they're making a lot of these games for. So like, I'm on the PlayStation primarily. If I go to the PS store, PlayStation store, I'm gonna see this thing that's gonna say "Big in Japan," and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because I've seen like YouTubers that go to Japan, and there's like literally bunch of games that like will never hit like the American market. Maybe they might, but it's like okay, you could factor into that, and also Nintendo makes a bunch of games like Nintendo exclusive games that are like weird that are also big in Japan. So I'm like,
and that,
Yeah,
but
it's
and that's
hard.
the whole thing. Is like, I think what they need,
Calculator's
honestly,
$10.
is when I sit there and I sit and say to myself, what could they do in a video game to make it work for us, the average consumer? And I'm kind of thinking to myself, what would Anthony, Brunner, and myself like as games? And honestly, I think that they don't look at us as demographically.
Oh no, they're corporate now.
They're
all
looking
more
they're looking
corporate.
at the little kids. They have to have a certain amount of little kid games, and they have to have a certain amount of sports games. And sports games are only fun when you have a group of people you play those games with. Like, I mean, you want to talk about some of the most vile, disgusting things that have ever been called in my lifetime? It's been on a 2K court. I'm telling you.
Call of Duty
Mine was
360.
Oh, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
That's another one. They come out with 2 new Call of Duties every year. That's true, too. That's another one. 2 new Call of Duties every year, like clockwork. But now they're even getting lazy with that. They're just relaunching the same zombie game maps.
How it works is like, okay, so Vanguard comes out, and then but you guys don't know it, but the next Call of Duty is already being developed for next
Oh, I'm
year
sure they are.
already.
Well, it's 2 different
Right?
companies. It's 2 different companies that they just have
Yeah,
the Call
so
of
they
Duty
take
license, so it
turns.
takes them a year to make it. And they worked out an agreement. The one Activision one, I think, is the one that comes out in November, and the other one is the
Activision,
other
like
person.
Treyarch.
It comes out the other one. And it's funny is because I still play a ton of Call of Duty, and they just dropped a new map on Cold War a little while ago, a new zombie map, but they just dropped a new play mode this weekend. I don't know if you saw that. You seen that yet, Anthony?
Yeah, I've seen
No, I
that.
don't have it installed.
I've seen that where
stop.
it was horrible.
I know it's because I have low space, dude.
I've seen so many
External hard drive. You ever
bugs.
heard of one?
I've seen so many bugs
I know.
and glitches in Vanguard, like literally, and then I mean, like, and then nobody's complaining, like nobody's giving it like the amount, like the same amount that Cyberpunk got, and then like
dude.
literally, hold on, let me finish. I literally saw like this one dude, like the sun was like filled up 90% of the screen. Like the sun was that bright, where it was 90% of the screen. And then another thing too is, what you call it? Like there's a huge hacker breach where literally there's like people who could see like through the walls, and then they had the little hitbox.
The game's free,
dude. It's so I'm telling you right now. Last 2 big games that I seen come out that I was looking forward to, like big games, are 2K. I played a lot of 2K, so I was looking forward to 2K22, and then Cyberpunk. I wasn't looking too forward to Madden this year because I really don't. Because I'm not on the Xbox anymore, so I don't play with you guys on that anymore. So I really don't play with anybody on Madden. So I think they're putting these games together so quick and so crappy that they're having nothing but Cyberpunk. I still can't even buy that on a Sony. It's not even in the store.
It should be there.
Okay.
They've even see deals too. Like if you want a disc version plus a hard copy is like $25, $25-$30.
So did you see?
I would if I had a
Did
Series X.
Did you see the
Series X? Series
So
S?
did you hear about?
I have an S.
I mean,
Did you hear?
Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick. So I used to play. I got Cyberpunk. I love Cyberpunk. I don't know if it's just me, but I love that type of genre, that futuristic.
Yeah.
where think corporations are, to kind of take over the future.
Little
But
Blade
I
Runner, right?
ran it on the Scorpio, on the regular 1X. I never had any bugs. I had like 2 bugs, like nothing where I'm like, oh, this game's not fun. I'm like, oh, that thing happened, and then that was it.
Well, we're expecting it.
I would.
So what I was going to say is the 2K22 for the past week I couldn't even play Wreck It All. I couldn't go in. They have this thing now. Remember how you used to be able to? You'd go around the neighborhood to different stuff. Well, now you have to go in an elevator and go to different floors. The elevator didn't work, and nobody cares. They don't give you any money. They don't give you nothing. They don't give a shit. They already got your money.
2K still so broken, Elite. I literally played on 2K21 Next Gen. Still get 10%, 10 Gatorade boosts, 10 whatever. I still get the Gatorade boost. Or you get Amari Stoudemire jerseys. I get 10 boosts per category.
It's like, dude, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So it's, I'm kind of just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I wish that for the amount, I personally think that, and maybe it's because I'm heavily into it, but I personally think that the gaming industry needs to get their shit together, because what it's doing is it's pushing more and more people onto PCs. And the PC gaming market grew last year by 28%. 28% people left consoles and went to computers.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
And if you think about it, in reality is once you play on a PC, you'll never go back to a console. It's like the experience is that much better. Like the comedian, dude. But the experience is that much better. I mean,
Easter egg.
So, like, if you think about it, shout out to Michael Munchik. But so if you think about it, what does a console have to you that's going to keep me there? What do they keep him? Sony keeps me there for exclusive games that they get. I like their exclusives much better than I do Xbox exclusives. That's the main reason why I play. My big game is, we always seem to come back to the Ghost of Tsushima. That's my game.
And then if you wait 3 years, game. If you wait 3 years, they'll put it on PC. Like, I think they just now put Death Stranding on PC.
Right.
But
speaking of Death Stranding, director's cut just released.
Yeah. You're right, Elite. Because if I were ever get PC, I would just do it. Because again, I want a superhero video game and I want mods. Like the Arkham games, I saw like people would mod it where they could free roam as Nightwing, or they could free roam as Robin, because all the elements are there. Like, it's just Rocksteady needs to put it in there. Another thing too is, like, I see Grand Theft Auto mods as Flash, where like he can literally run super fast, throw lightning, and like I've seen it where like he can jump like off a building and like phase through and like pilot a jet. And I'm like, that's what I want. I'm like, and also Superman too. They got Superman mods as well.
I mean, the only thing that you have other than I guess, lack of a better word, the only thing you have other than exclusives is, I guess, ease of use, that it's a console all enclosed. But the reality is, so I can open up a PC, reach over here, I'm looking right at it. It's my PlayStation controller that hooks right up to my computer. So now I'm using the same controller. I don't have to use a keyboard and mouse, even though when you get good with those in shooter games, oh my God, it's a whole different world. And they're not like when you play Call of Duty on a PC, it's not buggy like it is on consoles. And I don't know. They got to get their stuff together, because I think they're going to lose market share.
Yeah, that's why
they are.
That's why that's why I want to buy a Steam Deck. And when me and Ollie talked about this, go listen to our Steam Deck episode. It's really good. But another game too I want to bring up, and if the audience has ever played it, I know me and Anthony played it. I'm gonna show a picture on the screen. Is the Superman Returns video game. This was the best superhero video game of all time.
All time?
It was the most comically accurate superhero video game. Because literally, like, when you would fly as Superman, you could literally like break the speed,
Yeah, the
the
sound
sound
barrier.
barrier, and like it was so fun. And then like every time like there was like trouble, like you could hear like because Superman has super hearing, hear like Superman help,
And then you go,
and then like buildings would be on
feel
fire,
badass, dude.
and like you know like and then you could either use your freeze breath or you could use your super breath, yeah, and blow it out. And they had some and then that you could fight Bizarro. And the Bizarro
You
was in
could
the
be
video game.
Bizarro. Remember that?
And then I don't know how to say his name. It's like
Brainiac.
Brainiac was in the game. Oh, and it was like
Metallo.
Mixial Split Lick, the little short elf
Remember
guy who's
Metallo?
from like the eighth dimension,
Yeah.
which is from like a 60s comic. They put him in the game. And not only that too, like sometimes literally meteors would be falling and you have to stop the meteors before they hit Metropolis.
All right. No, yeah, okay. So I want to bring up a point. I played in the Xbox, right? The version Brunner was talking about. I don't know if you ever played it in the DS, but in the DS version, only one person needs the copy, and you could play online with like people around you, and everyone would have a different Superman suit. So it'd be like a Superman suit from like the black and white. It'd be like a Superman suit that's wearing a Bizarro suit, and we all could like be in the DS. You could all be in the same place and like doing challenges, and I thought it was the funnest shit ever. Yeah, I agree with Brunner. It does get like a lot of comic references here and there. Superman's powers are amazing to use. You feel like a badass every day. I would kidnap civilians and put them up in the buildings because I was an asshole. Or like I would get their cars and just throw it at them. But I was just an evil Superman. But yeah, it was
And then
fun.
Superman is to me is the most overrated powers ever. I just like I don't know, dude. That is the hot take.
Oh yeah,
dude. Like you said, like literally, you just said a minute ago. Oh, you could blow a fire out. What happens when you put air on fire? It makes it bigger. It wouldn't blow out.
Yeah, but you're blowing it so fast.
That's why you gotta use your ice powers.
Yeah, yeah, and the controllers were so easy because like I remember on the 360, like the D-pad, like I think up was heat vision, right was
the wind,
and then like the
down
one was ice breath, and then you had and then some parts were X-ray vision, or was that the other game? I don't remember, but I just also he could run super fast too, and I would always like destroy cars. It was just so fun. I loved that game.
Yeah.
Literally from like the game was better than the movie. As Superman Returns was not a big hit, but the game so good. I don't understand. Like that's one of the games Xbox needs to bring back. You know, they're always like backwards compatibility. We are now 3 consoles in, and we still don't have that because we had Xbox One 2013, the Scorpio, and whatever, and now we're on the Series X, and still no.
Do you think it's more of a situation though that they're not like I go to that Xbox Game Pass and you look at the Game Pass and a lot of the games they have in there are kind of shite, to be honest with you. I'm not that impressed with them. And I wonder if it's because licensing have expired or it's easy to put out. And I wonder if that's because it's a licensing issue for re-release. It would probably be expensive. You know what I mean?
But Warner Brothers made it, and Warner Brothers still owns Superman. And they never had any like actual music. Like every time you flew, they always played the Superman theme.
Yeah, but didn't I remember they had on Game Pass? They had Arkham on a Game Pass for a little bit, and I played it on the Game Pass, and then it was gone. It was only there like a limited period. And so what they're doing a lot on Sony now with the PlayStation Now, PS Now, is they're putting like really hot games on there, like great, awesome games. Like I just played Witcher on there, right? But it was only there. You could only play it for 60 days, and then it was taken away. So like Red Dead Redemption 2 is dropped. And so like Red Dead Redemption is right there right now. It just came on, Red Dead Redemption 2. But it's only there for 60 days. So I'm wondering if they're working out deals where they're letting you, do you know what I'm saying, giving licensing rights or what? I don't know.
Yeah, but I wouldn't, if it's on Game Pass, that's cool. But I would pay $100.
Re-release it, yeah. I think every game should be backwards compatible. Because that's the problem is you fall in love with a game. Like one of my favorite games of all time, it must have been on the original NES, or it must have been on the original NES. Maybe it was on the Super Nintendo, but was the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game. Did you ever see that game?
Oh yeah, the arcade
Yeah,
one.
but
I have it on my 360.
yeah, and so you had to do like little swimming and deactivate the bombs and stuff. And it's one of my favorite games. And then they made a second version of it, and they called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Travel in Time. And they were both really cool games. But if you don't have the console, you can't play them anymore. And I think they should make every game backwards compatible. Like every game, somehow, some way. And the one company I think is pretty cool, speaking about backwards compatibility, going off on a tangent, is Jack just bought a Switch recently. And I thought it was the coolest thing when we paid our $10 or whatever it is we paid for the monthly web service of whatever Nintendo calls it.
Yeah, shout out to Nintendo for keeping it low. It's like $20 for the year.
Yeah, it was super cheap
compared to like Microsoft and Sony, where it's $100 for the year.
But they give you 100% like access to all these great old NES and Super NES games that are just.
Oh yeah, technical is there.
It's like you have like all the Mario games, Zelda games, Link, Metal Gear Solid. I mean, you have all these great games. And it's like, shoot, man. You literally could go buy a Switch and not even buy a game for it. Just pay the $20 more, and you'd have access to a bunch of games. They do look like you put them on a 70-inch TV, though. I will put that out there.
I don't really look at that. I just
they're made for a smaller TV. But it was.
Or if you just play on your.
Thing, it looks great on your thing. But we clicked it up to the TV, and I was like, "Whoa, yeah, okay, we're going back on this thing."
Yeah.
But Mario just didn't look right. But it's so weird. Like again, I don't know who they market. I don't know who they market because we're the people that are the loyalists that have been keeping them in business for years upon years upon years. And we've literally just sat here and talked for 37 minutes about a bunch of games of genre that's grossly underrepresented.
Yeah. When you guys said, like, I don't understand why I can't just put my disc in and then play the game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why do I have to download this shit?
No, I'm talking about like for backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
You know what console that did that? The Nintendo Wii. Literally could grab any GameCube game, stick it in there, could play it.
Well, in
I don't
all
understand
fairness,
why they can't do that with Xbox.
In all fairness, the PS2 used to do that. You could play a PS1 game on a PS2, and I thought that was cool. And Xbox did it. You could play 360 games on an Xbox One, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, you can.
But the new one, I don't know about the new one.
No, I'm talking about because literally, like, I could grab a game that's not like a 360 game I have that's not backwards compatible, and I'll stick it in there, and I can't play it.
You can't on the new system?
Yeah, correct.
But
yeah, on the new system, no. But the 360, yes, you could do that.
Right, on the system I have, you can. You could any Xbox 360 game will play.
Yeah, any Xbox game will go on 360. Any 360 game, only selected few went up to the new console. And Brunner is right. Like I don't know what's stopping them from having they select these 10 new games are going to be backwards compatible this month. But it's like they should have been backwards compatible since day one.
Right, and
you know what I mean? If your system's so powerful, how come it's
the
taking
other part
this long
that pisses
for these
me
games
off
to come
is
out?
too is like because I started looking for systems and I'm just like and they're really trying to push digital only systems. They're getting rid of the ROM. They're getting rid of the Blu-ray player.
Well, yeah, I have that one, the just digital, and honestly, it's the best $300 I've ever spent. You know
I'm sure.
I always get digital.
Yeah,
I always get digital.
But I was thinking more for like the dorm room or the teenage kids' room. It also is a Blu-ray player, but I mean nobody really plays Blu-rays anymore. Probably just me because I got hundreds of them. But
I do. I have a DVD collection.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, I was kind of like, So now you have to have a DVD player, and where that you kind of fit both purposes. It's so weird too. Like on the PlayStation, you know how like on your Xbox, like on the Xbox that me and Anthony have the same Xbox. I literally could run over. I could go grab Friday the 13th, the movie, throw it in my Xbox. It's gonna play. I don't have to do anything. It's gonna play. Then I use my controller as a remote, right? If you run over and put that in your PlayStation, it won't work. You have to download a DVD player. You have to download a Blu-ray player, like a little box, like a little app thing, for it to work. And then you have to click open the damn thing.
That sucks.
I'm like, you guys are supposed to be pretty smart, dude. I can open up.
Yeah, hold on. Another thing, because you brought that up, and I hate, because like on Xbox, like you have games and apps. So all your games are in one section called games, one section called apps, like YouTube, Netflix, and then like Netflix is like if you have something else, like you have Microsoft Edge with your YouTube, we could have maybe this other thing. Yeah, because that's the only browser Xbox has, but like literally, like apps on PlayStation are separated with like home entertainment apps. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate that. Because I'm like, if I want to go this thing, I have to go to a completely different section that's completely hidden.
So when you and I don't know how it is. I don't know how it is on an Xbox because I haven't been on mine in a long time. But when you go through it, remember how you used to be able to set it up and personalize how you wanted it, and you had like what you wanted up here, and then you had like little sections. So like all the games that we played a lot would be the first things on there, and then you'd have apps or whatever. Okay. I hate how when I turn on my PlayStation, I cannot change that stupid thing. It only shows the last 10, 15 things I looked at. And I'm like, what the flip is this crap? It's the stupidest thing in the world, man.
Yeah, that's what Xbox has that too, where you could just pin the game. Like if you play 2K a lot, you can just go down one
pin
column.
It. So right there, if you watch Netflix a lot, you pin it, and then you can name it, and you can put it in a folder and be like, sports games, shooter games. That's how mine's set up. Sports games, shooters games, apps. You know, I don't know. Blows my mind.
It's crazy.
And then he's got this whole thing too. Is like, I used to use YouTube TV, and then YouTube TV.
I still use it.
Well, they had an issue with Roku, so there's no longer an app on the Roku. So now you have to go through YouTube and like go over here, and it's super stupid. So I started using the PlayStation for it. They took the app off.
Oh, I thought you meant like you just put YouTube on your TV. You actually use YouTube TV.
Yeah, so now we have cable, and I'm like, and now it's costing me an arm and a leg. It's like 3 times the amount. I'm like, what the fudge?
We still have the antenna thing
On the roof,
like router thing. We just no, we have it like plug it in our TV, and then just stands there. Like we set it up where it gets the best signal. We get all the local channels.
Oh, okay.
I still have YouTube.
We have that, and then we have my dad has this thing where he gets live channel. Oh, Hulu. Hulu has live shit.
Yeah, Hulu has live shit. I've seen that's what
No,
Baker
it doesn't.
Mayfield too.
No, it does not.
Baker Mayfield told me.
I tried to watch the Super Bowl. Did not have it. I literally tweeted out Hulu. Dude, I said, "Why can't I watch Super Bowl?" They're like, "It's not available in your region." I'm like, "It's the Super Bowl, so I can't
available
watch
in
live
everybody's
sports."
region. Some guy in Zimbabwe is watching it right now. What the fuck you mean it's not available?
Literally,
dude, isn't it like on local?
It
TV
is
now?
on local
yeah,
TV.
but we didn't have. I literally,
I think it's on
did
Fox.
CBS. I literally did CBS.
They take turns.
I don't know who it's on. Madman on NBC.
I even searched the term Super Bowl. Didn't it?
I always just go to the
Hulu
Mexican channels.
have
Everything's free there. Like every pay-per-view, every boxing thing is free in the Mexican channels.
So do you?
That's where I
go. When you set up the little antenna on your TV, can you pick up the channels out of Juarez?
Yeah, I just don't have a strong enough phone. I use a hang. We have like ours is so bootleg, it has a hanger, and it still works. Metal hanger.
Yes, sir.
But like I was able to watch the leftovers of the Anthony Joshua fight. It was like $60 pay-per-view. Watched it for free with Spanish commentary. Channel 6, can't beat it. You love it, man. Right. I love it. That's probably how I'm gonna watch the UFC fight too. And it's like so underrated because no one knows about this. But I guess because people don't want to listen to it in Spanish, I don't mind. I prefer it. It gets more. They start screaming. They start yelling. I'm like, let's go, man.
You don't mind because you understand it. I don't know what the fuck to say.
Oh, so. Yeah. And then I like it because they're Mexican and they don't pick a side just because they're in the hometown. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, this guy's fucking up. He's gonna lose,
dude.
They don't care. Yeah.
It's funny is that when I listen to South American and Mexican commentators do soccer, there's nothing better.
Nope,
and it's like I don't know what they're saying other than goal. goal, but it's like it's
or golazo.
and it's like and then like trying to like you could tell like the guy's like basically it would be a commentary of like he's at the 16, he's driving in the box, he shoots, he score. You know but these guys are just like I don't know. Another level. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
They're screaming to save their families, dude. They're like on their feet and shit. They love
it's
it.
good shit, man. It's good shit.
Every time I get FIFA, I always have to put it on Spanish commentary. Because
I like listening. I do like listening to English guys too.
I think English guys can be bored sometimes, but FIFA Mexican commentators go nuts.
It's hilarious. Is that I've never seen English commentators, when they commentate on like football, like a Manchester game or whatever, they shit on their own countrymen. Oh yeah, that guy's really, guy's really sitting to bed now. It's like, I can't believe he took that shot, and it's like, holy camoly! Like I could never see Tony Romo being like, yeah, I don't know what's up with that quarterback today. You know, it's just so funny.
I can. I've seen. Troy Aikman rips on the Cowboys every chance he gets.
Yeah,
rips on the Cowboys.
That's because he hates Jerry Jones.
Hates the Cowboys. Yeah, that's true. Who doesn't hate Jerry Jones?
Oh, dude, I was sitting today at a football game, and this dude, he's from Austin, Texas, and we were talking, and he's a Cowboys fan, and
if you're from Texas, so for Texas listeners, if you're from Texas and you live everywhere outside of Austin, everybody hates Austin. Like literally, people in Texas can unite against.
Well, he's like this dude's like old. This dude's like old school Texas. He's like 70 years old. He's a professor at UT, and so he's like old school Texas. You know what I'm saying? He grew up in Brownsville. He was saying, and then so he lives in Austin just because he teaches there, and but it was kind of funny is that he was telling me, yeah, Jerry Jones, you know, the Cowboys are never going to be a winning team until they get rid of that son of a bitch. But he said it like this a son bitch, that like Texas accent, and I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm like, me, a diehard Steelers fan, I'm like, yeah, I like it. I honestly like it when the Cowboys are a better team, you know, because they were our rival for so long in the 70s and 80s and the 90s. That team should have won. If he didn't piss off Jimmy, they should have won 6 Super Bowls. Now, I know you hate it because you're an Eagles fan, but that team was phenomenal. So,
well, debatable. Phenomenal, lucky.
Lucky?
Your choice.
Okay.
I mean, look at the amount of talent now versus the amount of talent back then. You know what I mean?
The reality of it is, if you ever look back at that 90s team, the one thing you have to realize is the Patriots team that Brady was on and those Super Bowl wins in the Brady years is actually a little bit more impressive because they did it in the era of free agency. When the 90s Cowboys, yes, there was free agency, but there wasn't a hard salary cap. So you can keep players like Michael Irving and pay them exponential dollars to keep them there. Where now there's a hard cap and you'll let players go. Like you've seen the Patriots do it. You've seen the Steelers do it. You've seen the Eagles do it. I mean, the Packers don't do it because they don't pay anybody.
We really don't.
So, but literally you've seen people walk to go other places. I always take example of, and my Steelers lost one of the best players in historically ever, because he went and got more money.
Antonio Brown.
No, Rod Woodson.
Oh.
Rod Woodson went to the Raiders because they paid him more. Kevin Green, we lost Kevin Green to Carolina because they paid him more. I mean, because we had a hard cap. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about,
but they kept Juju.
But yeah, what the hell? And then you think about like the Eagles. I mean, I don't think Reggie White would have ever left and went to the Packers if there wasn't a hard cap.
Thank you, Reggie.
He was always beat. I don't know why they like to complain after. Oh, I wanted to stay. But it's like, yeah, we wanted you to stay too. But we know damn well why you left, because you wanted more money. So it's like, don't be saying that. And that's why I like Selleck, because he got a huge contract offer from the Cowboys. He said, "F Dallas, I'm retiring." Amen. We'd rather retire than play for Jerry Jones. That's what he literally said. So I'm like,
he's not like that guy who played. What's the name of the guy you just picked up who was from the football team for the longest time?
oh my God, Keegan, I think.
Ryan
Let's
Kerrigan or
see.
something like that.
Yeah, like he posted a goodbye post on Washington. Like a lot of years spent there. Next post, like an hour later, fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go, Philly Nation. We're gonna go back to the promised land. And I was just like, I was even laughing because I'm like, this
Dude.
like he hated us, dude. He hated the Eagles for so long, and he would always talk shit. Now he's over here, fly, Eagles, fly. You know, we're gonna go back to the Super Bowl, and I'm like, this
One of
dude,
my favorite
not gonna
players
go
of
back to
all
the Super Bowl.
time. One of my favorite players of all time. I lost all respect for him. It was James Harrison. James Harrison was like the hardest hitting, meanest mammer jammer you could have. He left the
And he went to the
Steelers.
Patriots.
Before that, he left the Steelers and went and played for the Bengals.
What the?
He lasted 4 games with the Bengals, realized it was a shit league, a shit team, retired. Somehow the Steelers got him back, and then he left and went and played for the Patriots right before we had to play him in the playoffs and told him our playbook.
Yeah, and that's how they made it to the Super Bowl.
Kiss my
Because they went to
Harrison.
Jacksonville. I do remember that. Yeah, and we played them in the Super Bowl.
And I'm like,
Beat 'em.
that should have been an all Pennsylvania Super Bowl.
I agree.
Is what
All
it
right,
is.
yeah. All right, boys. I think it's a good time to end it here. Thank you guys so much for listening. Also, Xbox, PlayStation, give us our Superman game back and give us our NCAA game back too.
Ooh,
That's a
yeah.
whole nother conversation.
Oh, they're gonna bring it back. They're gonna
I
bring
mean,
that
the
one back.
classic ones, the classic 360 ones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
that would be.
so
That would be next week's conversation
All
for sure.
All right.
no, because next week, coming up, big one, spoopy season, Spooktober on Game Chat.
Spoopy season. You mean spooky season?
Spoopy season, October. We're gonna be vibing to some lockout music.
Yes, we
Yeah, we're
are.
gonna talk about some
Shout out
horror
Monwood.
next week. So
All
stay
right.
tuned,
That sounds like a
ladies and
good one.
gentlemen. Thank
All
you
right,
guys
take
so
it
much
easy,
for listening.
everyone.
See you guys in
Yes,
the
sir.
next one.
Thank you guys.